At the Royal Rumble, Yokozuna retained the WWF Championship after defeating The Undertaker and apparently putting to eternal rest the legacy of the Phenom. Nevertheless, his greater opposition might possibly be that which comes from within, as he faces an imposter of his actual self. WWF Champion, Hitman Bret Hart, again stands atop the World Wrestling Federation, the leader of the new generation. But momentum is on the side of his younger brother, Owen Hart. After defeating Bret at WrestleMania, Owen went on to win the King of the Ring tournament, just as the Hitman had done a year earlier, declaring himself the King of Hearts and looking to take away the WWF title in a steel cage, to become the King of the World Wrestling Federation. Sweetness, Walter Payton is in the corner of Razor Ramon as he looks to regain the Intercontinental title from Diesel, while Tatanka, who was only recently defeated for the first time in the WWF, looks to rebound against Lex Luger. Also, the women's champion Alundra Blaze defends her title against Bull Nakano, a singles match between Jeff Jarrett vs. Mabel, and a tag team showdown between the Head Shrinkers, taking on the combination of Bam Bam Bigelow and IRS, are all set for WWF SummerSlam 94. SummerSlam 94 opens with a tag team contest with the Head Shrinkers, Fatu and Samu, who recently lost the WWF tag titles, taking on Bam Bam Bigelow and IRS. The Head Shrinkers gain an early edge when Bam Bam and IRS consistently miss their moves. They use double team tactics against the corporation until Bam Bam executes a low bridge on Fatu. He also takes advantage of a referee distraction to assault him on the outside and smash him into IRS's briefcase. Samu ultimately scores a hot tag and clears the ring with backdrops and headbutts before the Shrinkers deliver a double facebuster to IRS. After that, they perform a flying splash, but DiBiase diverts the referee's attention. Bam Bam proceeds to attack Albano, prompting Afa to have enough and enter the ring. The referee sees him assaulting Bigelow, resulting in a disqualification of the Shrinkers. Nevertheless, both teams continue to brawl down the aisle. Alundra Blaze defends the women's championship in the next match against Bull Nakano. Bull establishes dominance early and yanks Blaze around by her hair. She makes overconfident pin attempts, and Alundra almost mounts a comeback with a Hurricane Rana. Bull halts that by trapping her and holds like a one-handed Boston Crab and a Scorpion crosslock. She also diverts the referee's attention, allowing Luna to strike, but Alundra begins to catch Bull off guard with pin attempts. Eventually, Blaze attempts a pile driver. Alundra even manages to bridge out of a pin attempt, but Bull responds with a powerbomb. Subsequently, Bull attempts her finishing move, a flying leg drop. She fails to make contact, and Blaze capitalizes with a German suplex for the victory and successfully defends her title. Razor Ramon looks to regain the Intercontinental title from Diesel in the next match. Shawn Michaels, who accompanies Diesel, toys with NFL legend Walter Payton in the corner of Razor. Razor flusters Diesel early on with strikes, but Diesel responds with forearms and elbows. He also secures Razor in a sleeper hold. Then, Diesel diverts the referee's attention while Shawn removes a turnbuckle pad and assaults Razor. The referee notices the exposed buckle and stops him from utilizing it until Shawn distracts him once more. Diesel then targets Razor's back with a side slam and applies an abdominal stretch with extra leverage. Razor regains control by sending Diesel into the exposed turnbuckle. Ramon also executes a diving bulldog and knocks Shawn off the apron. He takes a bump into the guardrail. Then, Diesel counters a super back suplex, but Razor also reverses a jackknife attempt. Next, Shawn gets involved in an altercation with Payton, which diverts Earl Hebner's attention. Shawn takes advantage of the situation to get into the ring. Diesel restrains Razor for a super kick, but Razor dodges. Shawn inadvertently strikes Diesel, allowing Razor to cover him for the victory. After the match, Diesel demands that Shawn return and clarify his actions, but Michaels withdraws. Razor and Payton celebrate in the ring with Walter's son. Ted DiBiase established the $1 Million Corporation and subsequently asserted that Lex Luger was among the new members. Luger rejected this, but his friend Tatanka was convinced it was correct. DiBiase tried his hardest to portray Luger as culpable. He walked into his locker room with a satchel of cash. Luger was also found in DiBiase's locker room. With tension and mistrust in the air, Luger takes on Tatanka in the next contest. The match is back and forth to start. They trade arm ringers and near falls. Tatanka eventually takes control with a power slam and some running chops. He also hits some flying chops in the suplex, but he misses a flying crossbody. Luger capitalizes with running clotheslines, but DiBiase arrives with a bag of cash. Luger is distracted, so Tatanka rolls him up for the win. Luger faces DiBiase and knocks the money from his hand. Tatanka strikes Luger from behind. It was a trap. Tatanka is the individual who betrayed DiBiase. Jeff Jarrett faces the oversized challenge of Men on a Mission's Mabel in the next match. Jarrett dodges Mabel's attack and struts, prompting Mabel to arm drag him and do the same. He subsequently choke lifts Jeff and executes an elbow drop before launching Jarrett to the floor. Jarrett continues pursuing Oscar and ultimately sends him crashing into the steps. Afterward, he heads back to the ring and delivers a diving fist drop to Mabel along with several flying axe handles. Jeff also applies a few sleeper holds on Mabel, but Mabel squashes him in the corner. Jeff finds himself chasing Oscar once more, but Mabel intercepts him and restrains him so that Oscar can slap Jarrett. They move back to the ring, where Mabel misses a diving splash. Jarrett seizes the opportunity for a sunset flip, but Mabel tries to land on him. Jarrett sidesteps and then pins Mabel for the victory. Mabel then pursues Jarrett backstage. The Hart family sibling rivalry continues in the next match as Bret Hart defends the WWF Championship in a steel cage against his younger brother, Owen. Owen defeated Bret at WrestleMania 10, then won the King of the Ring tournament. They start by brawling, but soon both men begin trying to get away. They effectively create suspense through near misses and close calls. Occasionally, both men manage to get their feet over the top of the cage but halt each other just in time. There are also several instances where they narrowly avoid an escape by grabbing each other's hair. They even get halfway out the door but pull each other back into the cage. Both men execute back suplexes off the ropes and crash each other against the bars. They also take turns getting hurt from their escape attempts. Then, Bret halts Owen at the top of the cage and delivers a superplex. Bret ultimately injures his knee, and Owen puts him into a sharpshooter, but Bret counters it into one of his own. He later lets go of the hold since submissions are not counted, and Bret starts to climb. Owen intercepts him, but they both eventually end up climbing onto the wall. They battle, and Owen's leg becomes trapped in the bars, allowing Bret to drop down for the victory. After the match, Bulldog and his spouse, Diana, rejoice in Bret's victory, but Jim Neidhart clotheslines Davey from the back. Both he and Diana topple over the guardrail while Jim assaults Bret. He and Owen drag Bret back into the cage, and Anvil secures the door with a chain. It takes an excessive amount of time for him to lock it. They pummel Bret and prevent the family from climbing the cage. Bulldog eventually succeeds in getting inside, prompting Owen and Anvil to withdraw. The Undertaker makes his long-awaited return to face Ted DiBiase's version of the Phenom in the last match of SummerSlam '94. They confront each other closely and exchange blows until Taker knocks Faker to the ground with a boot. Faker pursues Paul Bearer, but Taker grabs him and slams him on the apron with a suplex. He then maintains control of the match until Faker uses the ropes to execute a hotshot on him. Subsequently, Faker tries to perform Old School, but Taker counters by slamming him and demonstrating the move correctly. Faker retaliates with another careless hotshot. Taker eventually goes over the top rope after missing a clothesline, and Faker drives him against the apron in the steps. He follows this up with a chokeslam and a tombstone, yet Taker continues to rise again. Faker makes another attempt at the tombstone, but Taker turns it around. Taker then delivers 2 additional tombstones to secure the victory. Taker subsequently throws Faker into the casket, which the Druids carry away, while DiBiase flees in fear. Paul Bearer lifts the enormous urn as Taker poses triumphantly in the ring. In the aftermath of SummerSlam '94, Ted DiBiase's $1 Million Corporation continued to grow and feud with Lex Luger through Survivor Series. Alundra Blaze would lose the women's title to Bull Nakano, but reclaim it in the spring of 1995. The saga of the Hart family in the World Wrestling Federation would persist until after WrestleMania 13, where the Hart Foundation would finally reunite. Nonetheless, Owen cost Bret the WWF Championship at Survivor Series, as former champion Bob Backlund would hold the title for a mere 3 days before losing to Diesel. The relationship between Diesel and Shawn Michaels would be up and down after Michaels, again, cost Diesel the Intercontinental title before his WWF title win. The Undertaker seeks retribution from Yokozuna for sending into hiatus following the Royal Rumble in a return casket match at Survivor Series.